Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Here we have 3 new original creations by the Dewy brand. I think they're all marketed for women. I'm not entirely sure. In my opinion, they're all unisex. I'm going to talk to you all about these 3 fragrances. I got kind of a sneak peek or sneak sniff at all of these fragrances. Dewy Lilac, Bitten Cupcake, and Peach Fizz. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on these 3 brand new original creations. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on these 3 brand new original creations by the Dewy brand, in my opinion, all of them are perfectly unisex. I will try to make some connections to other more popular fragrances if I can along the course of this review. But I do want to start the video off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. So here we have a floral fragrance, Dewy Lilac. So I'm expecting this one to smell very maybe moist, very dewy, very sort of humid, if I may. Of course, we have Bitten Cupcake, so this is going to be the gourmand of the bunch. And I'm kind of getting the impression that this is going to be some aldehydic fruity fragrance, Peach Fizz. The peach fruit on the front, and then you also see a champagne flute filled to the brim. And so this is an interesting graphic, and of course they all kind of have like the similar aesthetic. And you know, a lot of these fragrances that the brand has been releasing are kind of inspired by either gourmand notes or desserts or foods or boozy alcoholic drinks, and of course with the champagne and the peach and the lilac. So it's a really interesting concoction, and 3 of them at that. So I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on each one of these fragrances. I'll try to break it down as much as I can in terms of seasons and scenarios and occasions and all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation. Now, of course, I also want to preface this next section of the review by saying that I don't have the note breakdown for any of these fragrances. I do apologize. I'm not going to be referring to individual notes as per a note pyramid or something like that. More or less, I'm just going to go off of what I smell in the moment. And the first one that we're going to try is Dewy Lilac. Now, this one, of course, as the name implies, you are going to get a lot of lilac, and it's a very smooth, sweet, gentle sort of a fragrance. I think another fragrance I tried recently that has lilac, and I've had the opportunity to review it thankfully, is by Issey Miyake, and it's called A Drop d'Issey. And that fragrance is very smooth, it's a little musky, it has those clean white florals in the heart, but it also has the lilac in there. And I think I've also tried lilac from a lot of independent brands, and it always comes across very full, very lush, very arresting, and I think it gives off a beautiful vibe and a beautiful ambiance in the fragrance. Now, as soon as I tried this fragrance on, yes, I did get the lilac right away, if I'm being honest, but it also kind of reminded me a little bit of Aiguë by Nichané. And that one also kind of has like this bright, aromatic, slightly minty vibe. And so I'm smelling this one and I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, this is very summery, this is bright, this is fresh. It has that unique lilac component in here, but I'm also getting something musky about it in the base. I do get some clean floral ingredients, some aromatic properties, maybe a touch of citrus in the opening, but nothing overbearing. There's nothing sweet about this at all. And even in terms of the woods, I'm not really getting anything heavy on the wood. It just comes across very bright, very clean, very effervescent. Once you give it a chance to dry down, I almost get like this dry, earthy tobacco note from it. I'm not sure if that's a combination of a few other ingredients in there, but it definitely comes across very smooth, very elegant, very professional. And the performance on this one is also very good. So you can expect 8+ hours from it. The next one, this gourmand, a lot of base notes, Bitten Cupcake. So I'm expecting something icy and something sweet. Oh, and right away, you do get this overly saccharine quality about it, like this refined sugar sort of a vibe. You do get vanilla, you get like this whipped cream aspect. It's a little lactonic, not overly so, but you can tell how it's really bright, it's really sweet. I actually had one of those little trees, the car air fresheners that you hang from the rear view mirror, and there's a vanilla scented one, and I'm getting a very strong dose of that in here. Very sweet, very vanillic. It has this saccharine quality about it that I absolutely love. Very easy to pull off, very easy to get along with. This one is more on the unisex vibe. I can see for some people how Dewy Lilac might lean a little bit feminine, especially if they have that association between floral ingredients and women's fragrances. But in my opinion, both of these so far are perfectly unisex. This one, on the other hand, sweet, so it gives off more of a youthful vibe, whereas Dewy Lilac gives off more of a grown-up vibe. But this one is very sweet. It has this sort of ethyl maltyl cotton candy type of a vibe in here, and it has this bright icy component to it. It doesn't smell like peppermint, at least I don't think so, but there's something icy about it. Could be eucalyptus, it could be a little bit of mint, but it has this really bright quality to it that I think is really interesting. And so with a name like Bitten Cupcake, you would imagine a cupcake that was left in the fridge a little bit too long, or perhaps even the freezer, and it just gives off like this cool and cooling vibe that I think is really fascinating. So definitely sweet, definitely gourmand, definitely one of the sweetest fragrances that Dua has manufactured. And I love how they're going down this road of creating fragrances that will conjure up certain ingredients or certain foods or certain beverages to mind. And I think it's a beautiful way to express the olfactory art. We'll finish things off with Peach Fizz. For this one, I'm expecting peach and champagne, and wow. So I wore this one yesterday or 2 days ago or something, and I spent a few days wearing it, as I did with all of these. They were sent to me fairly recently, but I had ample time to test them out. This one has this bright, effervescent quality to it. Now, I do get bergamot, I get some aldehydic components in the opening, so it is fizzy, it is effervescent, it opens up very bright, very sprightly as well. I do get the peach in here, and it does give off perhaps a little bit of a bitter peach by Tom Ford vibe, but it's much brighter than that. Bitter peach actually tends to get quite earthy, and I'm gonna be honest, in the dry down, it reminds me of Angel by Thierry Mugler. This fragrance has a little bit of that sweet, sort of a patchouli vibe, so it does go in a little bit of that ambery territory, but it's much brighter in the opening. So there's something happening right in the opening of this fragrance that is very bright, very welcoming. It kind of lures you in. It has that effervescent beauty about it that I think is really fascinating. So I foresee a lot of people really enjoying this one. I know Bitter Peach seemed to be a big hit among women and among a female clientele. So it's up to you to kind of make that association for yourself, try it. And if you personally feel like Bitter Peach leans a little bit more feminine, I think you would also agree that this one would probably be feminine leaning as well. But all things considered, I personally find all of them to be totally unisex. I do think that probably the most gender neutral one is either going to be Dewy Peach or Bitten Cupcake, just because nowadays we see a lot of men's fragrances being on the sweeter side of things. 1 Million Royal by Paco Rabanne, Stronger With You by Emporio Armani, even the new Invictus Victory Elixir. I mean, there's a lot of sweet fragrances, even Paco Rabanne Phantom. So I think it's all a matter of personal opinion, and fragrances are subjective. But here you have a nice sort of smooth, clean, musky, pure, serene lilac sort of a fragrance with Dewy Lilac. Bitten Cupcake, very icy, a little bit on the mentholated side of things, but very sugary, giving off that lactonic cotton candy vibe with a bit of vanilla in the dry down. And Peach Fizz, very bright, effervescent, with that luscious peach vibe that is overripe. It has that fruity sweetness that I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with. And I would also make similarities to Bitter Peach by Tom Ford, part of the private blend. But definitely try these for yourself if you can. Many of these might be available, at least I hope they're available, in the Dua Solo size, which is the 10 ml sort of cylindrical bottle. So that one is, of course, a lot more inexpensive. So see what your options are. Definitely get your nose on these, because I think all three of these are phenomenal when it comes to performance, and in terms of uniqueness and originality, like I said, I love what this brand is capable of doing lately. Of course, a lot of their inspirations are very good as well, but for me, I'm always interested in a new olfactory experience, hence the reason why I tend to gravitate towards their original creations. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I think all of these are fairly unique. The only one that I would say is a little less unique than the rest is Peach Fizz. Yeah, I got it right. And I say that because it does kind of remind me of Bitter Peach by Tom Ford. Dewy Lilac just initially reminded me of Nishane Ege, and Bitten Cupcake, totally unique in my opinion. But try these for yourself. I think you might end up really enjoying them. Longevity on all of them were at least 8 hours, with Bitten Cupcake 10 plus hours. Projection for all of these beyond an arm's length for the first hour of application. I would say they all became a skin scent right around the 6 or 6.5 hour mark. I would say Dewy Lilac became a skin scent right around the 5 hour mark though, so a little bit sooner. And they, or an elbow's length scent I should say, they became a skin scent right around hour 8 or 10. So somewhere in between, depending on your skin chemistry. If you have oily skin, dry skin, you know the deal. Now, in terms of versatility, I do think that they all give off a bit of a casual vibe. Dewy Lilac, very clean, serene, tranquil, casual. Of course, with the sweetness of this one, it's a bit more playful, more flirtatious, also casual as well. With Peach Fizz, this is the only one with that effervescent quality in the opening. I would say, okay, I think you can wear this one in a formal scenario. You'll really turn heads. I let you know what I think in terms of their unisex appeal, which one might lean more feminine, depending on what sort of, I suppose, preconceptions you might have about certain ingredients and where they might lie in terms of designation. I think that all of these are appropriate for anybody of any age. I can see how Bitten Cupcake would appeal to somebody who's a little bit younger. Dewy Lilac and Peach Fizz might appeal to somebody who's a little bit older. And in terms of the presentation, I really do enjoy the graphics, the wooden caps, the engraving. My final verdict on these fragrances is 3 new original creations from the Dewy brand. I think once again they did an amazing job, and I am told that there's a bunch of fragrances being released during this particular Memorial Day sale. I hope you have the opportunity to check it out. Of course, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for your viewership, and I can't thank you enough for taking even a little bit of your time to watch this video, and I'm really hoping from the bottom of my heart that it was helpful in some way. If you enjoyed it, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Once again, hit that bell icon and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.